While giving a tour here in Mexico City, I recently did something illegal, and I'm gonna tell you all about it. And a few reasons why I'm choosing not to give tours of Mexico City anymore. Hey, it's Sarah. I've lived in Mexico for 10 years, and I'm your guide to authentic experience right here in Mexico City. I've also created a guide for you to learn all about the best spots to see, the food, and some of the necessary phrases to use public transportation. Grab it down below. Yeah, that's not clickbait. I did something illegal on a recent tour that I gave here in Mexico City. While I was tour guide in Mexico City, for some viewers that came down about 1 month ago, Peter and MJ, hello if you're here. I'm so happy that you're watching this video, Peter and MJ. I ended up doing something that I didn't know was illegal, but it was. I'm not gonna keep you waiting with bated breath. We're gonna get to that point right away, but remember to subscribe to the channel before we get into what I did that was illegal. Obviously, I lived to tell the tale and I was not put in Mexican prison, thank goodness. Did you subscribe yet? But what was the big deal? Well, I didn't realize whenever I took Peter and MJ to tour the Aztec Templo Mayor that to give official tours of archaeological zones in Mexico, you actually have to be a licensed tour guide. And it's not really easy to become a licensed tour guide. Upon further researching this, it actually makes a lot of sense. The Mexican government wants to make sure that those that are giving tours of Mexico in all of the amazing historical places actually know what they're talking about. I also realized as I was guiding Peter and MJ through the Aztec Templo Mayor ruins that there was so much that I did not know, even though I really did try to learn a lot of information in advance. I did overhear some other official tour guides explaining a few things to some other tourists that had hired them, and wow, I felt almost embarrassed because their knowledge is, light years above what I knew about the area. In fact, I almost wanted to hire one of those tour guides to take us because it was just so enriching to hear what they had to say about the area. Now, thankfully, I wasn't caught. I wasn't punished in any way. It was probably so because the police and security guards probably assumed that Peter and MJ were my relatives. But I imagine if I was to go several times in a row to visit this archaeological site, they would start to catch on. I did have a little bit of a scuffle with one of the tour guides standing around advertising their services outside because they were upset that I was giving a tour without being a licensed guide. It didn't get too heated. The guy kind of backed off after I told him that, yes, I'm an official guide. And I did kind of lie to him because I didn't realize what it meant to be an official guide at the time. But the fact is that what I did was absolutely illegal. This is one of the reasons why I'm not going to be offering tours officially anymore of Mexico City. Hey, Future Sarah here. I just wanted to tell you about a couple exciting updates since I filmed this video for you. So, we are still offering tours. I've found a way since filming to offer them to you and solve the majority of the problems that I'm about to explain to you in the upcoming video. So if you want a tour with us, check out senorasarasclassroom.com or message me on Instagram at senora.sarah. We are offering tours, not with me specifically, but we do have a tour provider. Please check out this video up in the cards to learn more about it. And yes, there are some restrictions, so please watch that video after you watch this one. I researched what it takes to become a licensed guide, and it takes the level of a 4-year college degree. It's a very intense program of study. And after understanding that, I kind of see why the tour guides standing outside advertising their services were frustrated to see me just walk up with the tour. Of course they would be frustrated. They paid a lot of money and put a lot of time into preparing for their career, and here I come just waltzing in off of YouTube. Obviously they were frustrated. This segues into the other reason why I feel that I don't want to offer official tours of Mexico City right now, and that is I just don't feel that I know enough. There are at least 1,500 historic buildings in the downtown Mexico City area alone. And when I go on a tour and I've hired a tour guide, I like to know a lot of details about the history of the area. And while I tried to be informative and learn as much information as I could for Peter and MJ, I felt like my explanations were lacking in many respects. They did ask me a few questions that I simply could not answer about some of the details in the stonework in the Templo Mayor, for example, and those are things that a licensed guide would know. Now, if you're looking for a private driver or translator to get you around Mexico City, I can definitely help you with that. Check it out over at senorasarasclassroom.com and I'd be happy to help you. Another reason I don't really want to give tours anymore of Mexico City is it takes me so long to get to where the majority of the hotels are. This was really surprising to the viewers that joined us for a tour when they visited back in April. But we live in Mexico City, but it took us 3 hours to get to their hotel. And that's because of the traffic. It took us 3 hours to make a 20 or 25 mile journey across Mexico City. I ended up being 1 hour late for the tour. Even though we left our house 2 hours early, we were still an hour late. Peter and MJ were very flexible and understanding, and that was wonderful. We actually had a really great time, but I just don't feel right about risking showing up an hour late for tours. Also, frankly, it was very stressful. I don't enjoy showing up late for things, and I don't really enjoy doing a 5 or 6 hour commute round trip for work. My job is primarily teaching Spanish online. If you want to check out my classes for kids, check out the description box below. And I really enjoy that I get to teach online and commute about 30 seconds from my bedroom here to the office. I don't really want to be driving for 5 or 6 hours in Mexico City traffic just to do one tour. And the final reason why I don't really want to offer tours of Mexico City right now is because there's a lot of places that people want to visit that I really don't want to go. One of the places on that list is very popular, Xochimilco. If you want to know why I don't like Xochimilco and why you should not visit, check out this video up in the cards. But there's a lot of other places that I personally don't really want to visit while doing tours in Mexico City, and there are a lot of people that are interested in these places. For example, because of my personal convictions, I don't really want to do tours of churches, cathedrals, and basilicas. Those are hot tourist attractions in Mexico City, and people are going to expect tours of those places when they visit. I'm also not a drinker, and I don't want to be involved with any bar hopping or wild parties at bars. A lot of people enjoy that when they're on their trips, and they're going to be looking for that when they're in Mexico City. There's also this other weird problem that we have where, because of our van being a classic vehicle, we can't drive every single day. Mexico City places restrictions on who can drive when in order to keep the air pollution down. There's already a couple days a week where we can't drive, and the government will randomly put out more restrictions as needed if the pollution ends up going too high. Some of the most popular times to visit Mexico City are March and April, when the heat is really starting to kick in, and that's when the air pollution starts to go up, and that's when we can drive less. Recently, it's been quite common for the government to put out contingencia. This is what they call it when they have those extra ambient vehicle restrictions, and it can happen anytime, overnight, suddenly we can't drive. I don't want to have to deal with the hassle of trying to arrange other transportation and figure it all out. There's also insurance issues, etc., etc. Now that you know something illegal that I recently did on a tour here in Mexico City, make sure you check out this video about a forgotten museum that you really shouldn't miss while you're on your trip.